from Afghanistan has set in motion.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Mr.
much.
Messer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Miller, thank you for being here in person today. Ambassador Crocker, thank you for your service and appreciate your participation. I want you to know that I wish the very best for your wife's speedy recovery. I have her in my prayers. Ms. Miller, I'd like to turn to you to first talk about frozen Afghan assets that are present here in America. As you know, the Biden administration has frozen some $10 billion worth of Afghan assets here. The administration's hope seems to be that through financial leverage, they can somehow control and moderate the way the Taliban governs and treats its citizens. In my view, the only leverage we have left with the Taliban is the financial leverage that we have in place right now. Sadly, all other aspects of leverage have been taken off the table. According to press reports, in October, Taliban negotiators have asked the United States to unfreeze these $10 billion worth of financial assets. In October, Deputy Treasury Secretary Wally Adeyemo said that the sanctions would remain in place and at the same time allow for the legitimate flow of humanitarian assistance. This seemed to open a window. I'll come back to what the State Department said the month prior in September. The State Department indicated that they were going to send some $64 million worth of aid and assistance, humanitarian assistance, to Afghanistan via UN agencies. I am very concerned about how this might happen. You in your own testimony, or you in your statements have said that the Biden administration has now a sum of each policy, I believe is how you worded it. That is, some sort of effort toward engagement, some toward isolation. And in your testimony, you noted that we're on a collision course between policies of engagement and isolation. And my question for you, from your perspective, does the Biden administration have a clear strategy with respect to Afghanistan? One that will keep pressure where it belongs and not enrich or bail out the Taliban at a time when its control over the government of Afghanistan is frankly quite teetering. I'd be very interested in your analysis on what the Biden administration might hope to achieve here and whether they have a clear strategy to do that.
Well, my observation is that we're in a phase of, I would say, the administration feeling its way toward a policy. I don't think there have been any clear public pronouncements yet that would make it evident what the policy is, though there have been some statements of what the limitations are at the moment of what the U.S. Is prepared to do, such as the statement from the Deputy Treasury Secretary that you identified. I think we're not seeing a lot of clarity publicly about what the policy is because my interpretation is it's because the policy is still being formulated, and that there is a desire to continue to help Afghanistan through humanitarian aid, and the United States has been generous with strictly humanitarian aid provided directly to Afghans through UN and NGO agencies. But that beyond that, it is unclear how far they will go, recognizing that humanitarian aid alone cannot prevent the kind of humanitarian crisis and economic collapse that is already happening. If you're only giving humanitarian aid, then you are, in a situation like this, you're pretty much guaranteeing a perpetual humanitarian emergency because it does not provide jobs, it does not get the economy started, it does not deal with the fact that there's just a lack of cash in the Afghan economy now. There are a number of proposals that are under development by the UN, the World Bank, and others to find some ways short of unfreezing the central bank assets of Afghanistan that could inject some support and some money into the Afghan economy, using the World Bank, using the UN. It's not a perfect solution, these ideas, and it can't be guaranteed that this would have zero positive effects for the Taliban to consolidate their grip on power, but it could save a lot of Afghan lives.
Well, I certainly appreciate the need to save Afghan lives. We've seen far too many lost based on the failure of our execution there. At the same time, we have an Afghan government that is teetering. They're infighting. They don't have experience governing. The last thing I think we should do is provide any avenue to bail them out right now. And I think we need to be extraordinarily careful as we look at any step toward unfreezing these assets. At this point, I don't see any appropriate way to do that. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you to both of our witnesses for some very important insights. There's a lot more ground to cover, but